Book Talk, our friend, our nemesis, gives you good book recommendations that could change your life, but also the recommendations keep coming that you don't have time to go into an actual bookstore and browse the books for yourself and choose something by your own brain and not influenced under someone's influence. That is Book Talk. Today, my friends, I am going to be ranking all Book Talk books that I own, have read, and we're gonna tier rank them in this beautiful tier ranking list that I've made. We're gonna see how the Book Talk books are, if they are worth the hype. So I have read 21 Book Talk books altogether, which I think is a fair amount for me to do this tier ranking. So before we get started, let's have a look at the tiers that I've made. So the first one from the bottom is I regret picking this up. I don't think I need to explain that. That is literally what it means. I regret picking up this book, wouldn't want to read it, and wouldn't recommend it to anyone, and just it's all together. I wish this book did not exist. Next is would not recommend. I read it, it was okay. If you were to ask me for a recommendation, I would not give it to you. Next is okay, I see it. I see the hype. I see what people are talking about. I kind of get it. It was okay. I had a nice time, but I'm still confused about my feelings. Next, wow. It's just like, oh my god, I can't believe this book actually did what it did. I was not expecting this from a Book Talk book. I thought it would be cliche, but wow, it surprised me and actually like this book. And finally, I want to be in this book, capital I-N, in it. This basically means it was perfect. I would recommend this to my daughter, your daughter, you, your parents, everyone. This world was so good. I want to open the pages and insert myself in the book. I want to forget this world that I live in currently exists, and I would rather live in this book instead. It was perfect. Okay, are we ready? I'm kind of scared. So the first book I have is The 7-Year Slip. Now, this is indeed a Book Talk book. I mean, that is what I'm talking about in this video. Am I okay? This was a book everyone was raving about because this has magical realism. I, first of all, didn't know what magical realism was. Never heard of it. Also, the cover was really pretty, which is why it made me pick it up and read it, and I wanted it on my shelf. It's over here. Oh, it's hidden behind this, but it's there. I actually really like this book. One of my top favorite Book Talk books. I loved the main male character, female character. I loved the world. This is indeed a book I would like to be inside. I have been raving about this book everywhere. I'm gonna grab it and I'm gonna put it in. I want to be in this book. Ta-da! Next we have The Love Hypothesis, another raved on about book. One thing I really love about this book, and especially the author is actually into science. Again, I don't know the technical terms, but she is a woman in STEM, so she has a lot of experience in science terms and what actually happens in the scientific world. So everything she's written is so detailed, but it's not detailed as turning it into jargon. It is so easily digestible, and it's not just a romance with science being used as the background focus. Would I put this between wow or I want to be in this book? Honestly, that is a bit confusing because it wasn't as The 7-Year Slip. The 7-Year Slip really shook something inside me. I think my veins changed position, like something happened. I think I would put it in wow. Wow. I don't know how to say my words. And the reason I'm putting this in wow is because I did not expect it to be this good. I actually read it and was like, okay, it's gonna be like a cheesy romance book. I'm gonna like it. It's gonna be a fun time. I thought it was gonna be an okay, I see it. But when I read it, I was like, oh, it's wow. Okay, next we have a series that everyone has been talking about. This is it. I should have done this at the end of the video, but we don't hold suspense for that long. You know, I know you're waiting for it, and so am I. So next we have Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. This was the first fantasy series I ever read in my life. So I actually have different opinions on both of them, but I am going to be categorizing the series together. Otherwise, it's gonna take a long time and we're gonna be here forever. I have places to be, cats to feed, water to drink. So Fourth Wing, I actually really loved. I gave this a 5-star. So for Fourth Wing, I would definitely, without a doubt, put it in I want to be in this book. The dragons, Violet, Xaden, dare I say any more, would definitely be in I want to be in this book. Iron Flame, however, was not the best book. It was too long, didn't need to be this long, and it didn't have really great information that I would be like, okay, I'm actually excited to read the second book. I mean, there were some glimpses of a certain character which we lost in the first book, which made me teary-eyed. I did love that, but also that was just the author playing with my emotions. So even though Iron Flame did not cut it for me, I would still put it in I want to be in this book, just because the world in itself I really love. Also, I was new to fantasy. People, I guess, could say, oh, it's a copy of this movie, it's a copy of that book. I don't care. This was the first book I ever read. So for me, this is it. This is literally the blueprint of all fantasy books. So I am going to put it in I want to be in this book. I do badly want to be in this book, despite having a bad memory in terms of books and what books I read. The books that are in I want to be in this book, I remember vividly. Okay, so next we have Icebreaker. This was one of the very first romance books I read as I got into my like aggressive year of reading last year, because it was one of the first ones I actually enjoyed it. But now that I think back to it, I think I gave it a 5-star. I definitely would take that back and maybe put it on a 3.5 or a 4-star. Wasn't something that groundbreaking. I think the story was great. I think I just was not expecting what was in it, you know? I thought I was gonna put it in WoW, but honestly, present me, previous me, sure, I think she would definitely put it in WoW. Now I think I would put it in okay, I see it, because I would still recommend it to you if this is the type of book you're into. It's a great story. The characters are lovable. I love the main character. I love the hockey setup. You know, that all is great, but it just wasn't it for me, so I would put in okay, I see it. Next we have the Twisted series. Oh my god, where do I start? So for this one, I actually have different feelings for all the books. My favorite one is Twisted Games. If I could, I would put that instantly in I want to be in this book. However, we do have to consider the rest of the books as well. Love the storyline for the first 3 books. The fourth one, honestly, the main male character was not it for me. He was a bit aggressive, a bit narcissistic, and a bit guy who needs therapy, but it's apparently the hero of this book. This is another series that is really, really hyped. It just has like great male characters. The situations are great. Like for example, in Twisted Games, you have a princess. In Love, you have like, actually don't remember. In Twisted Hate, you have like a doctor. So you know, all those dynamics I think are great because you have different ones. And also them being friends is like a bonus. And I think, I do not know, I think I would put this in WoW. Yes, I would not want to be in this book, but also the series was nice. I would read again. I would recommend, and it has some of my favorite characters ever, so it would be in WoW. Next we have a book that I recently read, which is Lightlark. Now this book I've been seeing it on TikTok for such a long time. I have just personally been ignoring it and swiping past all the TikToks about this book because I was like, I do not want to get into another fantasy world. Fourth Wing itself was too much, and there's another book coming out this Is it coming out this month? I have full body chills. Is it this month? If it is. Anyways, what I was saying was I was just intimidated. Thoughts? I loved the concept. However, I think the start, it's always confusing for me in fantasy books because so much is happening, and it's a fantasy book, so you have to learn the terms and blah, 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 blah. In the middle, I found myself sleeping just a little bit. Every time I would pick up the book, I would sleep. Towards the end of the book, I actually was fully awake. I finished the book as soon as that part started, and I realized it was because the middle of the book was just such slow pacing. Everything was happening so slow. It was like back and forth, and so I would put this in okay, I see it. It makes me sad because I actually thought I would put this in WoW or I want to be in this book because I absolutely love the concept and I do love the characters in this as well, but unfortunately it's the way that this book is written. It is not it for me. Next is a fluffy rom-com, When in Rome. This was an okay book for me, honestly. It wasn't the best. I loved the cover, it was pretty, and I also loved the concept that the man owned a bakery, I think it was, but I found the main female character to be annoying at times. Nothing happened between them until like towards the end of the book, which was honestly dragging the slow burn a little too slow. There was nothing to burn in the middle because nothing was literally burning. Nothing was burning. It was like there's a log, a piece of log, and then there's fire, like just like that. So I would put this in okay, I see it. Was quiet, sometimes like a boring book, honestly. Next we have Nora Goes Off Script. I finished this book in one day. Every time I get to talk about this book, I say this because I never finish a book in one day. I think the book was a little bit more deep than what I thought. It had a bit more depth for being a short book as well. I just loved our female character because she was confident, independent. I absolutely loved that. Instead of just the love, we were also focusing on her life and her struggles. I'm gonna put this in WoW because I was not expecting it to be that good because everyone was reading it, and also it was a short book, so from a short book I didn't have that many expectations. So it is surprising to see that we don't have any book and would not recommend, and I regret picking this up yet. Does this mean BOOKTOK books are good, or does it mean I just have good taste because I pick up books that I actually would like? So next we have a series, the Inheritance Game series. I haven't finished the series. I finished the second book. I have the third book in my TBR, so I'm gonna judge this based on the first 2 books. The first book, absolutely loved it. The second book, medium loved it. I honestly don't know what else they could be talking about in the third and fourth books. So I think I will put it in between okay, I see it and wow. Wow. I think I'll put it in okay, I see it. It breaks my heart because I did not think I was gonna do this, but realistically I think I will put it in this because the first book was good. I also love the small chapters that it has. Next we have Why Love. This one I really like. I definitely without a doubt will put this in I want to be in this book because I loved the setting of this book. I loved them living in the mountains, in the town, in a rustic place. That is all I imagined, like a brown rustic cabin. Sign me up. I literally don't need to share any more thoughts because I absolutely love this. Our male character was great, female, everything, the whole story. And also one of my favorite things was that this book does not have a third act breakup. It was my first book where I experienced that, and I was like, it is so nice to not have that stress of being like, oh my god, are they gonna break up now? Are they gonna have a fight now? It didn't have it, which was great to just read a happy romance book. Next is another series, the Housemaid series. The first book, really loved, perfect, 5-star, 6 out of 5 stars. Second book, 3 out of 5 stars. Third book, 4 out of 5 stars. So you can see it's all mixed. Not want to be in this book because it is scary. I don't want to die. I think I would put this in, I think if we do the total and do the average, I think it will come to a wow. So I think that is where I'm gonna have to put it, even though I don't want to. I love the first book. Perfection. If the second book was just better, I think it would be in I want to be in this book. Next is It Ends With Us. Honestly, I've read this like, I don't know, 2-3 years ago. I remember nothing. I will put it in, actually didn't know that this was a BOOKTOK book because I never had TikTok when this book came out. See, now I have two opinions on this because I have a past me opinion, and I have a present me opinion. I think if in my past me, I would put it in wow, because this is the book that brought me back into reading. I stopped reading after school, after uni, everything becomes stressful. This is the book that brought me back into reading, and I read how many books? 48 books last year. So definitely I need to give credit to this book. Okay, I guess I would put it in wow because this book just did something to me. It was easy to digest for me, like it brought me back into reading, so I would put it in wow. I am surprised I've put so many books and none of them are in the bottom two. Interesting. Okay, next we have A Funny Story. Again, another book I read recently and I did love it. Absolutely loved it. It was hilarious. It was funny. I love the banter. I love the conversations. I love the way this was written. It was beautiful. I think I would put this in wow. Yes, it was a really good book, really fun time. I just wouldn't want to be in this book, but it was a great, fantastic read. I also don't remember much of what happened in this. Because like, give me a break. We read like 3 to 4 books a month. Like, how do you expect me to remember everything about everything? You know? Can't do that. Next we have the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder whole series. This was the very first BOOKTOK book I ever read, recommended by a friend. I would put this in I want to be in this book. Another book that really brought me back into reading, into the crime genre. I was really like discouraged from reading, but once I read this, I was like, ooh, books are still good. Because it's a crime investigation, you see the interview notes, you see the notes our main character is making on paper, like it's actually drawing, and it just has those special book characteristics which I love. So definitely, and I want to be in this book. And next we have another series, the Caraval series. Also, these covers are so pretty. I do not have these covers, but would I want them? Yes. Again, another series. I have different thoughts on each book. The first book, banger, I loved it. The second book, I was like, why are you here? You don't need to exist. The third book was okay. However, I did love the concept. I did love what I was reading. I loved everything about this book. Well, again, I say book, not books. The other two did not love that much. I would still put it in I want to be in this book because it was just that good. I know technically like I should be putting it in wow, but the first book really encaptured me. I can't do that. Next we have Happy Place. This is the first Emily Henry book that I ever read. Love the cover. It is literally, her covers are so pretty. Literally everyone and their mother was talking about this. They were like, Emily Henry is such a good writer. I love her writing. La 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 la. I was like, what is so good? It's literally a romance book. What are you saying? I read it. I was like, I'm only 20 pages in and I love the writing. I'm already captured and I want to pick up the book and go back to it. I loved the relationship of the characters and I loved the friendship dynamic as well. I loved seeing the friends fight, honestly. Loved the way the characters were growing in this book. Honestly, I would put this in I want to be in this book. It was that good. Like, there was no point where I was like, it's getting kind of boring, it's getting kind of cheesy. I think all the characters have such depth. Next we have Better Than the Movies. Not my favorite. I did look at some of the videos I recorded of me reviewing this book while I was actually reading it. I was actually really surprised to see how excited I looked while reading this book, which is weird because I don't remember enjoying it that much. I don't know what I was on. I was in a major reading slump when I was reading this. Also, it was a very thick romance book. I think till like the almost middle of the book I was invested in the characters, and after that I was like, okay, it's getting kind of boring, like just get together and like finish this. Or would I put it in would not recommend? Another book that I don't like, Normal People. I would put this in I regret picking this up instantly. Many people like it, and all those many people also read like really intelligent books books that require brain. I did not like this book. I was not expecting what was gonna happen. I did not expect the way it was written. I was like, wait a minute, there are no quotation marks? What? I also get that's the author's style. Love that for her, but for me, no, because until like the half of the book was gone, I was like, what? Oh, they're actually speaking to each other. These are not thoughts. There's just no punctuation. It was more character driven and character based, which I was not expecting. I thought there would be an actual story. Long story short, I regret picking this up. Next we have Just for the Summer. I sobbed. This was emotional. I cried. I absolutely love. I would put this in I want to be in this book. Our main male character, I say this all the time, he is literally boyfriend material. He was like the one who would not let the relationship break. The girl was like, I'm not enough. He was like, you are. The girl was like, this is wrong with me. He was like, no, this is right with you. I love you for this. Where'd you get such a persistent man? All this to say, I really loved the male character. Next is actually our final book, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Also, I chose this cover because I don't own this cover, and this cover looks pretty. Also, it definitely looks pretty because I don't own it, you know, because grass is always greener. So this is a book I have mixed thoughts on. I did like this book. It was very depressing, very sad. However, for the mood that this book was meant to create, it created and it succeeded. And also, it ended in a way which I think could be a great second book, which is really surprising that this author never wrote a second book for this. A book that was left, you know, open-ended. I never like that. Tell me how it ends, or just like don't write the book. Just kidding. I wouldn't want to be in this book. I don't want to be that depressed. I think I would put it in wow. I do see why people are talking about this book. I do understand that. I do understand the hype. It was a good read. Wouldn't want to be in the book because it was that depressing and sad. And I can't believe it, but that is actually it for the ranking. Let's get our analysis glasses on, and it's time to do some analysis. I don't think I needed my glasses for that because, as you can see, you may ask, what does this tell us about our BOOKTok books? Worth it? Should you read it? According to this, I think you should give it a try. I think BOOKTok books can be a great place to experiment with books that most people have talked about, have read about, and because so many people have read it, you get to see the reviews and you get to see if it's actually good, which I think just helps you narrow down like the books you want to read and make sure you're successful like me and have read all the books you actually like, you know, less of the books that you don't like. But I also think you shouldn't just blindly like be like, oh my god, everyone's talking about it, so I need to read that book. As you can see, I did do some of those mistakes and they haven't been great. So that is it for me ranking all the BOOKTok books that I've ever read yet. Let me know in the comments if you agree with my ranking and what will you do differently if you were ranking instead of me. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it because it tells me that you liked it, and if you don't, it makes me sad. End of story. I'm gonna cry. And I will see you in my next bookish video. Bye!